Joe, I'm excited you're here. I'm excited to welcome you to our listeners. And so welcome everyone. We are currently at Gillies, Dallas for the TOLA RUG. I'm joined today by Joe Wilson, Global CTO at Workday. Joe, welcome and thank you for joining us on the Okorio Workday Reimagined podcast.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, it's good to be with you.
Absolutely. So we just heard you speak at the keynote, which was excellent. As always, a fantastic job. For those who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So 3 decades in tech. I grew up where all good folks in tech start, which is as an engineer, cranking code in a dark cubicle. Had a lot of different branches along the way. Was actually leading ERP about 13 years ago because it kind of broke my heart, to be honest. But I found my way back to Workday, and it's been almost 13 years since. And honestly, it's just been amazing. So that's what I do for work. Outside of work, I love to venture.
Yep.
I like to do the things that actually matter most. And having come back from a sabbatical last year, one of the things that I've been very thoughtful about, and even sharing it in public forums, is to make sure that we don't kind of lose ourselves in the process of going through our professional journey.
Absolutely.
And so maybe that's what I would share to anybody that's listening today is, don't forget to make a life while you're also going out there and getting after whatever you do for work, which hopefully supports life.
I love that. Give us the highlight of the sabbatical. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Well, it's kind of in all the things. I'd never had one before. Like any good American, even when I'm off, I have this thing called a cell phone, so you're never really away. But for the sabbatical, I actually did delete all the apps.
Okay.
And I'm grateful because, I went really kind of backcountry camping with my youngest son, where we didn't even have cell phone signal.
Yep.
Which was fantastic. I climbed Kilimanjaro, which was an amazing adventure. I actually learned how to skydive, became licensed skydiving, which is amazing. It's changed my life. And for anybody that thinks that they can't do it, it's not true. I've seen grandmothers skydive, so just do it. But I did all the things. I'm grateful for it. And candidly, it's actually reset my long-term trajectory in terms of how long I'm going to stay employed in a full-time capacity. But it was amazing.
I love that. Good for you. I'm happy to hear that. So Joe, we've known each other for about 11 years. So I joined Workday, and one of the early conversations I had with you helped me understand why the technology at Workday was so important. And I say was because that was at the time 11 years ago. I don't think that statement could be any more true than it is right now. But let's talk about a couple things. And so you just delivered the keynote at the TOLA RUG. Can you walk us through maybe the 60-second, 90-second version? What did you want the audience to take away today?
Yeah, what I really wanted them to take away is this idea that you can be better every day, but you have to be very thoughtful about actually being strategic in your technology selection. And what I've seen over the past 30 years is this kind of expansion and contraction around kind of maybe, let's say, best of breed versus monolith approach. And while I don't really have a camp to get in, I do believe that you should be very thoughtful about what technology you bring into the organization, because that is going to introduce both opportunity and risk. And if I had a POV, it is simpler is better. That's not my original words. That was actually a phrase that belonged to one of my former employers, but it stayed with me through the years. And I did make a little bit of a cheeky comment to the audience is who likes complexity in their lives? Nobody. I've never met anybody that likes a complex, annual percentage rate on their mortgage or a complex relationship, when they're dating. Complexity, we abhor it in our personal domain, but we somehow accept it in the business domain.
Right.
And I think that's a fool's errand. We should literally fight against it. And through that, really be simpler, not only in design, but also in the operation of technology.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. One of the things you used to tell me is, and I would hear you explain this to a number of executives at customers and prospective customers, is if you can buy it, if you have to build it.
Yeah.
Does that still hold true today?
I think it does. Yeah. It's the classic buy build model where people are struggling with, well, should I build it? Because candidly within tech, and I'm just as guilty, there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from building.
Yeah.
That's kind of at the core of what we do is we're builders. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should, right? It's the old kind of axiom of just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so the buy build model, I think, really centers on this idea of, buy when you can, but build when you must. if you're actually buying, you should probably be buying for standardization, which is what we do with a lot of our corporate applications. I want to standardize how I do my financial accounting. I want to standardize how I do my human capital or digital capital management in today's age. Like, I want to do those things that are very standards based. But where it creates market differentiation, that's where you should build. If it introduces market opportunity, if it creates hedge against competition, those things, build.
Right.
Create your own moat from a build side around all the other stuff that you can just buy because candidly it's commoditized. And on some level, it also just allows you to be very contextual in terms of what you're doing without having to waste time and energy there, where it could be repurposed and opportunity to, like, no kidding, gain market share or keep competition at bay, et cetera.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. You made a comment about moat that I want to get back to in a second.
Sure.
Before that, where Workday is right now, Anil is back. The walled garden, let's say, has changed. So talk to us a little bit about what Workday customers should be thinking about now with the ever-changing landscape in HR, finance application, a little bit of AI, but let's start with maybe the walled garden and the changing of what Workday used to be compared to what it is right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's always this opportunity for us to armchair quarterback what happened. If my wife is watching, you know what I'm talking about. But I think when I reflect on the journey that we've had over the past 21 years, candidly, I think a lot of the success that we've had was predicated on Anil's early decision and the board's early decision to create a very constrained ecosystem. And that's not to create conflict or struggle. That was literally to improve the quality as an outcome. Because again, we were the first mover to the cloud for HR and finance. And so being able to make sure that we had a guaranteed outcome through that constraint was a wonderful thing. Along the years, though, since, right, we've had this idea that, hey, we want to be able to kind of accelerate what we're doing because candidly, we can't build it all. It's impossible. And so in the most egalitarian way, we have to think about software as a service where it has to be from our own side, creating the greatest good for the greatest number.
Yeah.
Period. That means there's going to be niches within every industry or geography that are going to be woefully underserved because we can't dedicate that level of kind of definitive detail in that niche area. But guess what? Our ecosystem partners can. Or maybe it's a customer who decides, like, I'm going to start building too and create a revenue stream and make Workday and flip it from cost center to revenue center. Like, who knows?
Right.
But it was all predicated on timing. So this enduring foundation that has lasted for 2 decades and supports the most risk-averse and highly regulated, this enduring foundation and all of those frameworks like data and security and process and integration and now AI, all supporting this ecosystem of 11,000 plus customers and 75 million users and 1.4 trillion transactions. It's all there and now it's ready.
Right.
We have the technology. We have the market readiness. We've become a platform, which is really hard to go from app to platform, but we did it. And now we want people to build.
Right.
And I just think the time is so amazing. And to your point, Anil's back.
Yeah.
And he's all behind it as well. We are going to build, but it's not going to be just Workday. It's going to be all of us because it is a better together scenario.
So as it relates to that, Data Cloud has been announced, coming R2. We have Sana, you already talked about, applications building on top. And then we have agent system of record.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what's most important. What should customers be thinking about in terms of this next phase over the next 3 to 6 to 12 months?
Okay. 3, 6, 12. Gosh. Well, I would say the thing that folks need to be thoughtful about is a lot of this work that we're doing is going to be predicated in large part towards a kind of not only a relationship shift. That's not a bad thing, right? We're just going to change the structure of the kind of the contract or the MSA specifically.
Right.
So if we've had a customer who's been around for a long time for now, we're going to take them and we're going to make them actually go to a new contract. And that new contract is going to require them to do something different that allows them to actually take advantage of, for example, being hosted in the public cloud.
Right.
Or being able to adopt Workday Data Cloud, which will not be available to our private cloud customers.
Right.
So as we do those things, that's very important for all of us to be realizing that there will require some change along the way. None of it's going to be disruptive necessarily, but it will set you up for what's next. And you have to be open to that. Like, it goes back to like Stan Sweet. his original comment is to be built for the future, you have to be open to change at every level. Right. He wasn't just talking about technology. He was talking about process. He was talking about how we organize, how we adopt. We just have to be open to change.
Understood.
Yeah.
I love that. So one of the other things that I always like to ask you, because frankly, I think Joe's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
You're ill-informed, but go ahead.
What haven't I asked you? What should we be thinking about? Whether it's partners, whether it's Workday customers, whether it's Workday employees, what do you want the people that are thinking about Workday in any area of the ecosystem to be thinking about right now? What questions should we be asking?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I encourage people to do is think about their investments, not just to solve for today, but to be enduring and long-term, like solving for many possible futures.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, the invitation I would say is double click on every investment. What is it doing today? And more importantly, what will it generate tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? And that's the question I think we have to constantly reframe in our own minds and across leadership teams and at every levels of the business. And so, like, when you're making a decision with Workday, for example, or another platform, pick one, a CRM or an inventory management, ask yourself, okay, it's great that it does this today. What else can it do for me tomorrow?
Yeah.
And again, the best investments do solve for many possible futures. So make sure that it is in effect future-proof. Going back to our old tagline, built for the future, that's a big deal.
Love that. Joe, thank you for joining us. An absolute pleasure. Any final thoughts you want to share with all of the listeners that we're going to be having dialed in to see the keynote speaker to TOLA's RUG, Global CTO? Final thoughts from you.
Maybe the final thoughts is where I'd end where I started, right? Don't get so consumed in making a living that you forget to make a life. I know that sounds cliche. All credit to Dolly Parton, by the way, for that quote. And then also, as part of this system or this kind of community, if you will, and I mean this sincerely, like, thank you. Being a part of this thing is, it's a generational opportunity. I've seen this organization scale from 300 customers all the way up to, bordering on 12,000 at this point. And I've never seen anything like it, where we can all come together and have a simple conversation and all speak the same language, and we don't have to worry about nuance or figuring out who you are or where you're at. It's just, it's the epitome of what right looks like from a software ecosystem perspective. So yeah, that's just it. Thanks. And again, make sure that you have an awesome life.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, of course, brother.
All right. Talk soon.
Thanks.